Hey guys, Lee here, hope you are doing great. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a computer update, and I'm going to be sharing that whole process with you. So this particular machine is a machine that I put together around 2007, purchased all the parts, put it together, and it's been working fine ever since as a home office. And also at the time it was originally used also a little bit for gaming as well. So it's currently about 9 years old, maybe a little bit older, and it's really in need of replacement, but I kind of don't want to actually replace it just yet. So what I really wanted to do was just kind of give it a bit of a boost and just squeeze a little tiny bit more life out of it, although I've had a good run out of it already. So the machine currently has a Core2Duo E6600 running at 2.4 gigahertz. So it's pretty slow by today's standards. The motherboard is a Asus P5W digital home edition, and the RAM has just got 4 gigs of DDR2 RAM in there. So anyway, I wanted to squeeze a little bit more life out of this particular machine. So I've done some research. The actual motherboard socket is a LGA 775. So what I thought I'd do is I'll just get a replacement processor, either new or used. Considering that's basically 10 years old, I should be able to pick up a fairly high spec processor for a reasonable price. So I've done some research and found what the best processor for it would be, and it was actually a Core2Quad Q9650. And that's a 3 gigahertz quad core processor, so that looked like it would be a good purchase. But one of the problems that I actually had was that it was pretty expensive for the actual amount of power that you're getting, considering it's quite an old processor, and I was looking about £60 for those, which I thought was a little bit of a premium. And I think it's because it's quite a desirable processor. There's not that many of them around, and they're kind of the highest spec processor you can get for that particular board. So yeah, so I was kind of debating whether to sort of purchase it or not. Like I said, looking about sort of £60 for those. However, when I was actually looking for those processors to purchase, what I also found is that some people have been doing this Intel Xeon mod. I didn't know anything about this, so this was actually originated around 2013, so some people have been doing it for actually quite a few years. And what it is you can use a Intel Xeon processor, which is actually designed for a socket 771 socket and motherboard, but you can actually do a mod so that it will fit into your 775 socket motherboard. So anyway, as I'm looking for it, I thought, well, actually that looks quite interesting. So the modification looks to be reasonably simple. The modification involves a BIOS update with some extra CPU microcode, so you need like a custom BIOS for it, or recommend to have a custom BIOS. I think you can do it with an original BIOS as well. You need to cut out 2 little notches on the actual CPU socket, and you also need to make a modification on the CPU itself, which bridges two of the pins or 2 of the contacts together and shorts it. So there's but you can get like a little adapter or a little bit of tape that will actually do that for us. So what I'm going to do is, in today's video, I'm going to sort of take you through that whole process and share my experience with you. So we're going to be doing fitting an Intel Xeon processor into our socket 775 motherboard. So yeah, I'll take you through that journey now. Okay, so the first part of this process is we just need to update the BIOS. So I downloaded a custom ROM file for this particular motherboard, which should include the CPU microcode, so we can run the Xeon processor in this board. So we just enter BIOS like normal. Then if we go to the tools, if we use this Asus Easy Flash utility, just load that up. Okay, then we've got these path files. So you can see on the left hand side it actually says C, but that's actually our USB drive itself, so it's got like a weird format. I don't know why it doesn't detect the hard drives and just shows you your removable drive. But anyway, that's the drive that we're going to be working with. So we've got 2 ROM files in there. I put 2 in there. One is the original BIOS, and this one is the custom one, although the actual file size is exactly the same. So I'm wondering whether it's actually custom or if it's unchanged. We'll have to go with it. So let's go. It'll go through a verification process for it first, and then it should update it. This is an old board, so you only have the single BIOS chip in there, so you don't want any interruptions during this process. A lot of newer boards have like dual BIOS, so if you kind of screw one up, you can recover it, but these older ones, they don't have such luxuries. Okay, so the machine's just restarting. I'm just going to go into the BIOS again. It should tell us like a version info, I think. Although I'm not too sure exactly at one point, but I'm pretty sure I'd updated it to a fairly recent one anyway, so. And does it tell us the actual no, I was wondering whether it tells you the actual BIOS information anywhere, but it doesn't look like it. Okay, that's fine. So actually, let's just have a look at the system information. Maybe it's in there. Quick look. I did notice on the actual post screen. Oh yeah, AMI BIOS 3002. So I'm pretty sure that's actually the same as it was. It's quite an old build, but we shall go with that. I did see some people modifying the actual BIOS ROM file itself and manually editing these CPU microcode sort of sections, but this one was supposed to be already done. I hope it has been. We'll test it and find out, and we'll work through these bugs accordingly. Okay, so now we're ready for the actual CPU installation. Okay, so this is our processor that's arrived, and also this little bit I'll talk about in just a second. So let's open it up. Okay, so just some paperwork there. I'm just going to ground myself, and then we'll just get out the sleeve a little bit. Okay, so try and get that into. So it is an Intel Xeon X5450, and it's a 3 GHz quad-core processor, and it has 12 megs of cache and a 1333 bus speed. So the processor, just have a look over it. Looks fine, normal condition. Can't see any damage or anything on it. There's a little kind of mark just over here. Not sure if that comes up in the actual camera lens. It looks like a little darker spot. I might just give that a little wipe over just with a rubber nail cone cloth. But yeah, that's going to be our process that's going in. So this one is the they have different step-ins. So this one is SLBBE, which has the EO step-in. Looking on some forums and stuff like that, they said that this one is a good one to get. It runs a little bit cooler than some of the other ones. I think there was like a CO step-in and a DO step-in. Those ones apparently was they would run a little bit hotter. So I see a video as well that actually had this one fitted, and it looked good. So the other little device that we have as well is this this little piece here, and I'll just take that out. can get it out there. Let's go again. Go about, you little bugger. I think it's such a small piece. I think they've taped it to everything so you can't actually lose it. So I'll try and get this in shot best I can, but although it is a pretty tiny piece. So what it is just like a little piece of sticky back tape, but you have several holes where the actual CPU connectors, so you have several holes where the CPU connectors actually are. Difficult to get that actually in focus. And then about halfway down you have two of the actual connectors which are actually, two of the actual connectors are actually bridged together, so that's what it actually does. I'll try and, don't think the camera can quite focus it, but yeah, that's that little piece there. So I have to check the actual alignment, but it goes something like this. We'll go through that in a moment, and we'll do that properly. Okay, so I'm just going to actually clean the CPU first, just because it's got that little dull spot on it, so I just want to make sure all the connectors and everything clean. So I've just got some paper towel and a little bit of rubbing alcohol, and I'm just going to go trying to clean it. I think it's just where it's come out, the actual socket itself doesn't look anything too serious. Right, so the next part is the actual modification. So just actually checking on my phone for reference, I got a picture of the actual, how it's supposed to look. So I'm not sure, bring the actual, so it's supposed to be looking like that. So that's what we're working with. So fairly straightforward. Okay, so yeah, pretty confident I know exactly where it goes. So from the sort of bottom right hand side, it's kind of one pin over, or one line over, and then yeah, 3 down from the top, according to this picture, and then yeah, 4 up from the bottom. So I just need to kind of try and get this aligned nicely. Yeah, I think that's where we want to be. So I'm just going to use the other end of the actual tweezers and just put a little bit of pressure just to hold on that tape section. And just make sure it kind of nice and flush and smooth. And I think we should be good. So that's the alignment. Okay, so the next part that we need to do is to remove the existing processor, which is the Core2Duo, so that needs to come out. And then we're going to need to make a modification to the actual 775 socket. So I'm just going to proceed with that now. Okay, so that's our stock cooler out. I checked as well, this one is yeah, just a stock cooler, but it should be efficient enough and work well enough for our new processor in there. It's around the same sort of wattage, so that should be good for us. Okay, so just lift the actual processor out now. That's the old one that was in there. Can't actually see any of the labels or anything on there because of the old thermal paste. Okay, so I'm not too sure how much of this I'll be able to actually capture on camera. So obviously you've got your regular CPU socket, and then on this this right hand side here, just at the end of the actual tweezers, this notch needs to be removed, and also on the opposite side as well, this notch here also needs to be removed. But you've also got to bear in mind that, you know, underneath this hole is an array of tiny little pins. So if any of those get damaged, then that's basically game over. So it's quite a delicate operation. Okay, so just continuing on, I've removed the graphics card and also the USB PCI Express adapter, just to give me a bit of extra room in this area, just so I can get my hands in there. Just looking as well, someone else actually suggested if you leave the original processor in there, you can almost kind of use that as a template. It helps protect the pins underneath whilst you're actually doing the modification. So I'm going to go with that, so I'm just going to fit that back into the socket. Just while that's in there, I'll just quickly show you. So you can see the orientation of it is the notches are kind of here and here at this end, and then on the processor, the replacement processor, so the Xeon, the same notches, but they're kind of over this way, so it's just like they've rotated the actual socket 90 degrees, so you can't use it, well, but we're going to use it anyway. Okay, so the old processor's in there, and let's go ahead and make this modification. So might take a little bit of time. I'm going to be yeah, really cautious and just take my time on it. I think that's that side done. It's difficult to judge, like, you know, just cutting through plastic, but you need a bit of force, but then not obviously too much force. And then the other side, kind of got, it's a bit thinner and a bit easier to get to. Okay, so it needs to go in so that the corner marker, which is there in the camera, so this corner marker here needs to match up with this marker on the inside of the socket over this part there. So yeah, it means that it's going to get rotated. Normally it would go in this way, like where the notches are, but we're going to rotate it around. Just make sure I've still got the tape on there. That all looks fine. So yeah, corner to corner, so let's just see if it fits. Okay, I think that's going to be fine. I thought it might be just raised slightly, but it's actually okay on that section there. So looks good. Just noticed that this back wall seems to have, I don't know, I think that's like just heat or something. Looks like it's tucked in a little bit. Okay, so let's sit that puppy in there. clamp him down. Okay, so just going to apply a little bit of thermal paste to the actual processor. It should do us, you know. Let's try it. Should be about that sort of position. Yeah, I think this job is definitely would be easier if you do it with the motherboard out. The securing mechanism just isn't holding, it's just oh, actually maybe just about got it. So, it's not great. I think that's going to have to be replaced. Okay, so we should be good to power up and test it now. Just got a one of the things I didn't mention previously is it also recommended to do a CMOS like a BIOS reset, just using the jumpers on the motherboard. I did actually do that, so we should be good to enter. So we just need to do the date and time, but first I'm just going to have a look at maybe it will work this time. So the time is currently going, but as soon as I seems okay this time. It did say in some of the forums that it could be a little bit flaky when you first started the machine up. You'll also notice I've got 2 gigs of RAM in there as well. That's because in a previous video I was having some problems with the 4 banks of RAM, so I just went down to 2 just to reduce any complications with it. So here we have our Intel Xeon X5450 running at 3 GHz, 4 cores. So that looks good. I'm just going to set the BIOS and then we'll restart the machine and proceed into Windows. Okay guys, so we're in Windows now. I had to do a little bit of tinkering to get it running, but we're now running at 3 GHz with 4 gigs of RAM, which is exactly what I wanted. What I had to do is in the actual BIOS, once inside the BIOS I managed to change the actual frequency of the RAM. I just set it to the lowest frequency, so it was set to 500, it's DDR2, so that'll run at 1000 MHz. What I'll do is, outside the bounds of this video, I'll probably go through and just tinker with it over time and see what the maximum frequency I can get the RAM to run at. It should run, the RAM that's in there is PC2 6400 or DDR2 800, so that should run at 1600 megahertz without any issue at all. So I'm not too sure, but it's something finicky going on with the RAM. But anyway, we've got it working now, so what I'm going to do is just do a performance test using this passmark performance test. Okay, so that's just fired up and it's just detected all of our hardware. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do the actual CPU test and get a score from the CPU. Hopefully it doesn't crash or lock up in the meantime. So let's go and we'll run all the CPU tests. Okay, so that's finished now. So this computer, the CPU mark score is 4441. I did actually save, I'll just run through the, just scroll down so you can see the various bits of info there. I did get a screenshot of how the old Core2Duo performed. Let's go find that. This there. Okay, so the hopefully you can see that. I'll just try and zoom in a little bit. Still not using screen capture on this particular PC because it's at a different location. So the Core2Duo got a score of 1779. So it's not even half what we're getting with the Intel Xeon. So this looks like a really good performance increase initially. What I'll do is over time I'll do some more tests on it, and we shall see how we go. So it's a little bit finicky, but I think we're making progress now. Okay guys, so that's it for this video. I appreciate you spending the time with me during this actual experience. So it's been quite an interesting one. I think we kind of got to a point that I really wanted to be, which was a much faster processor, and I also needed that 4 gigs of RAM working in there as well. So it meant that we had to reduce the frequency of the actual RAM to get it sort of working with the 4 gigs. But I think with a little bit of finicking, and I'll do that another day, I think we'll get to a perfect sort of setup. But the actual performance sort of increase looks to be really good. I'll do some benchmarks over time, and I'll share that information with you guys. But so yeah, if you have a old socket 775 processor, and that you want to get like a good performance increase without spending too much money, the actual processor, the replacement Xeon, was only £20 including shipping, so that was a really good deal, I think. So, and I think that's going to yield some good performance increases, which is what I wanted, but also on a very, you know, for spending literally just a small amount of money at all. It was a little bit tricky to do the actual job itself. You need to take your time with it, and it takes a little bit of patience and precision to get the job done. But I'd say, you know, your average Joe could do it without too much issue, so long as you just take your time. So yeah, that wraps up for this video. Appreciate you guys watching and supporting the videos, and also interacting in the comments. I really appreciate that. So till next time guys, take care.